Ezekiel chapter 48. These are the names of the tribes. At the northern end, along the side of the way to Hatelon, Lebo-Hamath, and Hazarenon, the border of Damascus, and northward up to the frontier with Hamath. From the eastern border to the western, Dan, one portion. Along the territory of Dan from the eastern border to the western border, Asher, one portion. Along the territory of Asher from the eastern border to the western border, Naphtali, one portion. Along the territory of Naphtali from the eastern border to the western border, Manasseh, one portion. Along the territory of Manasseh from the eastern border to the western border, Ephraim, one portion. Along the territory of Ephraim from the eastern border to the western border, Reuben, one portion. Along the territory of Reuben from the eastern border to the western border, Judah, one portion. The sacred tract. Along the territory of Judah from the eastern border to the western border is the tract you shall set apart, 25,000 cubits wide and as long as one of the portions. From the eastern border to the western border, the sanctuary shall stand in the center of the tract. The tract you set apart for the Lord shall be 25,000 cubits long by 20,000 wide. The sacred tract will be given to the following. The priests shall have 25,000 cubits on the north, 10,000 on the west, 10,000 on the east, and 25,000 on the south. The sanctuary of the Lord shall be in its center. The consecrated priests, the Zadokites, who fulfilled my service and did not stray with the Israelites as the Levites did, shall have their own tract set apart, next to the territory of the Levites, separate from the most holy tract. The Levites shall have territory corresponding to that of the priests, 25,000 cubits long and 10,000 cubits wide. The whole tract shall be 25,000 cubits long and 20,000 wide. They may not sell or exchange or transfer any of it. The best part of the land, for it is sacred to the Lord. The remaining section, 5,000 cubits long and 25,000 cubits wide, is profane land, assigned to the city for dwellings and pasture. The city is at its center. These are the dimensions of the city. The north side, 4,500 cubits, the south side, 4,500 cubits, the east side, 4,500 cubits, and the west side, 4,500 cubits. The pasture land for the city extends north 250 cubits, south 250 cubits, east 250 cubits, and west 250 cubits. The remaining section runs eastward along the sacred tract for 10,000 cubits and westward 10,000 cubits. Its produce shall provide food for the workers of the city. The workers of the city, from all the tribes of Israel, shall cultivate it. The entire sacred tract measures 25,000 by 25,000 cubits. As a square you shall set apart the sacred tract, together with the city property. The remaining land on both sides of the sacred tract, and the property of the city shall belong to the prince. extending eastward 25,000 cubits up to the eastern boundary, and westward 25,000 cubits to the western boundary. This portion belongs to the prince and corresponds to the tribal portions. The sacred tract and the sanctuary of the temple shall be in the middle, except for the Levites' property and the city's property, which are in the middle of the prince's property. The territory between the portion of Judah and the portion of Benjamin shall belong to the prince. The southern portions. These are the remaining tribes. From the eastern border to the western border. Benjamin, one portion. Along the territory of Benjamin. From the eastern border to the western border. Simeon, one portion. Along the territory of Simeon. From the eastern border to the western border. Issachar, one portion. Along the territory of Issachar. From the eastern border to the western border. Zebulun, one portion. Along the territory of Zebulun. From the eastern border to the western border. Gad, one portion. Along the territory of Gad shall be the southern border. This boundary shall extend from Tamar to the waters of Meribeth Kadesh, and along the Wadi of Egypt to the Great Sea. This is the land you shall apportion as a heritage among the tribes of Israel. And these are their portions. Oracle of the Lord God. The gates of the city. These are the exits from the city. On the north side, measuring 4,500 cubits. The gates are named after the tribes of Israel. On the north, 3 gates, the gate of Reuben, 1. The gate of Judah, 1, and the gate of Levi, 1. On the east side, measuring 4,500 cubits. 3 gates, the gate of Joseph, 1. The gate of Benjamin, 1, and the gate of Dan, 1. On the south side, measuring 4,500 cubits. 3 gates, the gate of Simeon, 1. The gate of Issachar, 1. And the gate of Zebulun, 1. On the west side, measuring 4,500 cubits, 3 gates. The gate of Gad, 1, the gate of Asher, 1. And the gate of Naphtali, 1. The circuit of the city shall be 18,000 cubits. From now on the name of the city is, the Lord is there.